Today on NewsWatch, Trump weighs in on terrorism. See how the presidential hopeful plans to keep America safe if he wins the election. Plus,
we are not settlers. To create a narrative that we don't belong is a myth. I mean, there's no greater irony than to tell Jews that they don't belong in Jerusalem.
CBN's Scott Ross heads to the foothills of the Mount of Olives. And
I remember when I competed in my first race at the age of 9, I finished last. You go back to the drawing board, assess what went well for you, what went wrong, but stick with it.
Olympic gold medal winner Jackie JoynerKersee talks about winning and losing and how faith helped her through it all. Thanks for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Caitlin Burke. Donald Trump is calling for an immigration policy that would feature what he calls extreme vetting and an ideological test for those who want to enter the U.S. The Republican presidential nominee is also blaming Democrats for global attacks by terrorists. Heather Sells has the latest.
In the 20th century, the United States has defeated fascism, Nazism, and communism. Now a different threat challenges our world: radical Islamic terrorism.
Polls show that Donald Trump's campaign is struggling right now, losing in key battleground states, lacking in field organization, and failing to deliver a consistent message. That's one reason why he came out with a hard-hitting speech on Monday, aimed squarely at drawing a line between himself and rival Hillary Clinton on the issue of terror. Trump also blamed Clinton in part for the growth of ISIS.
The rise of ISIS is the direct result of policy decisions made by President Obama and Secretary of State Clinton.
That policy, all U.S. troops leaving Iraq by 2011, creating a political and security vacuum and paving the way for ISIS. After making waves by criticizing NATO earlier in the campaign, Trump now says he wants to work closely with NATO and even Russia to fight ISIS.
I had previously said that NATO was obsolete because it failed to deal adequately with terrorism. Since my comments, they have changed their policy and now have a new division focused on terror threats. Very good. Very, very good. I also believe that we could find common ground with Russia in the fight against ISIS.
Trump also said he will end the current strategy of nation building and regime change, pointing to failures by the Obama administration in Libya and Egypt. And he elaborated on his calls for tighter controls on those who want to enter the U.S. Trump wants to temporarily block those from, quote, dangerous and volatile regions and develop new screening tests for other applicants.
I call it extreme vetting. Our country has enough problems. We don't need more. And these are problems like we've never had before.
The issue of terror may be a winning one for Trump, which is why Vice President Joe Biden joined Hillary Clinton on the campaign trail Monday, saying Trump is unprepared to handle national security. The speech comes as Republicans believe Trump is at a make-or-break moment, weary of his campaign's lack of organization and discipline. This week, the Wall Street Journal called on Trump to get his act together or turn the nomination over to his running mate, Mike Pence. Heather Sells, CBN News.
Thank you, everybody. Wow.
The death toll is rising in South Louisiana as severe flooding continues. Authorities say 7 people are now confirmed dead. More than 20,000 have been rescued from their homes in Baton Rouge, and 11,000 are in shelters.
My house was underwater. I have 3 children. My sister lived in the Sherwood Forest area, and she was on top of her roof, and she has 5 children.
Operation Blessing disaster relief teams are now deploying to the area, working to connect with local emergency management and church partners there. They come equipped with tools and other supplies, as well as a mobile kitchen prepared to serve 2,000 hot meals per day. The chief of police in Milwaukee says the city has calmed down since the shooting death of a black man last Saturday. Milwaukee erupted into violent protests Monday night, leading to heated confrontations and 6 arrests. This after a police officer fatally shot a black man during a traffic stop. Authorities say police body cameras show the man was armed and refused to drop his weapon. The investigation is ongoing, but for now, the city is quieting down. Russian jets took off today from a base in Iran to bomb ISIS targets in Syria. It marks a major step in Russia's relations with Iran. Until now, Russia has relied on bases within Syria to conduct its operations. Iran and Russia are both allies of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, the two nations growing closer since international sanctions against Iran were lifted. This summer marked the 5th anniversary of the Syrian civil war. It began as an isolated protest against the Assad government. But as Chris Mitchell reports, it split the country, and its impact has been felt all the way from the Middle East to the United States.
This drone footage of the Syrian city of Homs reveals the apocalyptic landscapes the Syrian civil war has created. Barely 5 years ago, Homs was once a thriving city, but now, like much of Syria today, it's either a wasteland or a battlefield. Recently, we talked with Jonathan Spire, Middle East analyst and journalist who reported from the front lines of the conflict, and in a recent article reflected on the human cost of the war.
I kind of wanted to take a step back and just really focus on that, on just the extent to which, human beings inside Syria on all sides have suffered in the course of this war. Nearly 10 million people made homeless, almost half the population or pre-war population of Syria having left their homes, maybe 400,000 people dead. The sheer magnitude of what's happening in Syria, is something that I think needs to get across.
While the world's media focused on the war at one time, much of their attention has turned elsewhere. Yet the brutal war goes on and on.
I think it's important to remember is that this war, is nowhere close to finishing. We had, of course, the ceasefire coming in this year on February 27th. It held for a while, but it's now, conclusively broken down, and fighting's taking place across the country once again.
The conflict produced a wave of refugees that is changing the face of Europe.
And that's causing enormous strain on European societies who are not necessarily well prepared to receive those newcomers or who don't wish to receive those newcomers.
Spire believes the war is a wake-up call to the U.S.
Syria, I think, is kind of an example of what happens when America is not involved close on the ground, when America isn't kind of around with its allies to keep some semblance of order, to keep that security architecture in the region, to deter enemies, to make sure the bad guys stay out. Then what you get things like the Syrian civil war.
He also believes the war helped give birth to ISIS.
Absolutely. Without the vacuum that opened up as a result of the Syrian civil war, it's very hard to imagine how that Islamic State in Iraq, that became the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria, could have got itself back on its feet.
The war also provided an historic opportunity for Russian President Vladimir Putin to dramatically increase Russia's presence in the Middle East. As the war drags on with no end in sight, its impact will likely still be felt, not only in the region, but beyond as well. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Coming up, they're Jews surrounded by thousands of years of history, and yet they're being called settlers. The story when we return. The Mount of Olives is at the heart of the Christian story and has been an important Jewish site for thousands of years. Now it's also part of the disputed area known as East Jerusalem. CBN's Scott Ross visited a Jewish family living there among a sea of Arabs to find out why it's so controversial.
The Bible mentions the Mount of Olives many times in both the Old and New Testaments. There, Jesus wept over Jerusalem, prayed in the Garden of Gethsemane, was arrested, and ascended to heaven. It's the place where Christ will land when he returns to conquer Jerusalem.
Where are we? What are we surrounded by?
Well, it's easy to understand that geographically because we are looking at the southeast corner of the old city of Jerusalem.
Right.
I visited Ishai Fleischer and his family who live in Ma'ale Hazatim, here on the slopes of the Mount of Olives. Some call him a settler and say his community is a stumbling block to peace. But he says Jews have been here for thousands of years and he's not going to be bullied out of it.
Those are the walls that were rebuilt by Sultan the Magnificent, but those are built upon the ancient city walls of Jerusalem. We see the Temple Mount, where we know the two temples stood, and where Abraham almost sacrificed his son Isaac at the binding. And if we look a little more to the east, we see the magnificent Mount of Olives cemetery, which has 180,000 Jewish graves. I call it the Mountain of History. It's got important Jews, our people's ancestral burial ground from 3,000 years ago.
And this ancient piece of Jewish history is located in the eastern part of the city, which many refer to as East Jerusalem.
These were lands that were actually taken away from Israel in 1948 by the Jordanian army, which was British-led and British-trained and British-armed. And in 1967, we liberated or captured these lands and returned back to places like this. And that's why it's always so funny to me when people claim that we don't have a right to be here, that we're on somebody else's land. I just point them to this mountain and say, well, look at it. It speaks for itself. You know, this is where our people have been for the last 3,000 years.
Fleischer says Jewish people purchased the land in the 1700s to expand the cemetery. The expansion didn't happen. Now, 100 Jewish families live in the secured complex of Ma'aleh Hazatim, built on that land. Children play within the compound in the mostly Arab neighborhood.
We live with Arab neighbors. These folks are all Arabs, Muslims, few Christians, but mostly Muslims. Some of them believing in the jihadist ideology that we don't have any rights here.
This next door neighbor is an Arab. There's an Arab. Are there contentions among you? How do you live with peace?
Instead of the word peace, I prefer a word called normalization. Okay? We are trying very hard to normalize our existence back here. We see ourselves as the indigenous returnees.
Fleischer says the compound, or those that live there, face weekly attacks, yet they hold on.
How many children have you?
I have 2.
And you're raising them in this environment.
People say, you know, aren't you putting them in danger? And the first thing is to remember is that being a Jew is a dangerous occupation, always has been. And second thing, we're teaching them to be courageous in the face of bullies, which is a Jewish tradition, David versus Goliath tradition.
Right.
And that is not to let people push you around and not to let people erase your story and try to tell you that you don't belong in Jerusalem. I mean, there's no greater irony than to tell Jews that they don't belong in Jerusalem.
What would happen if Jerusalem were divided?
It's the progressive people who claim that it's a good idea to divide Jerusalem. And yet, what are you saying? Are you saying that we should take a city, build a wall down the middle, and divide it based on race and ethnicity, and move Arabs to one side and Jews to the other side? I mean, that's a vision of progress, to racially divide a city and build a scar-like wall down the middle of it. It's so regressive. We stand against dividing the city and dividing this land.
You would take exception to the word or the definition of yourselves as being settlers.
We are not settlers, we are resettlers. We are reclaiming our ancestral rights. And to create a narrative that we don't belong and that somehow we're foreigners in this land is a myth that's been created in order to delegitimize the Jewish people's right to this land.
How do you view the philosophy of land for peace?
It's actually a misunderstanding about the Middle East mindset. When you say, I'm willing to give my land for peace, what the Middle Easterner will hear is, here's my wife, take her, just don't hurt me. So when you say land for peace, you're actually giving up the most coveted thing here in the region, which is your land. And it just shows you to be a completely spineless, jelly-like creature, which with time will be destroyed. Every place that we leave, and that we abandon, and that we shrink away from, becomes our cancer. If it's South Lebanon, it becomes the home of Hezbollah. If it's Gaza, it becomes the home of ceaseless Hamas wars. 3 wars in 6 years. To make it in the Middle East, you have to be big, you have to be tough, you have to be a regional superpower. The message of Israel is one of tremendous opportunity for a better life.
How do we pray for you here? We're in the middle of it here.
One of the ways to pray for Jerusalem is to come here and go to the wall and go to the Temple Mount and talk to God and thank Him for the opportunity. Be part of the story in some way. We have to take it also from the realm of prayer and the realm of hope to the realm of action. And one example is that the United States of America does not recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. In fact, they don't even recognize Jerusalem as a city in Israel. Tell your countries, put your embassies in Jerusalem. What kind of disrespect is that to Jerusalem and to Israel and to the God of Israel and to the God of the Bible, that you don't even recognize Jerusalem as the renewed, reconstituted capital of the Jewish Commonwealth that we've all prayed and yearned for, of the promises of the Bible.
Scott Ross, Mount of Olives, Jerusalem.
Up next, Olympic legend Jackie JoynerKersee talks about winning the gold and also coming in last. You won't want to miss her inspirational story. Over the last few days, the world has seen the greatest athletes go for gold. At one point, those eyes watched Jackie JoynerKersee, the First Lady of track and field. Across 4 Olympiads, she raced as the pride of a nation. And as she told Tom Buring, she's now racing for the next generation.
Jackie JoynerKersee is called the greatest female athlete of the 20th century.
That's just a title. I know how hard I had to work. If I know that each time I go out there, I give my best, and the people who believe in me, and I'm very respectful, and I'm very thankful for us getting to that next level, then that's what's more important to me than being called the world's greatest.
She's a 6-time Olympic medalist, winner of 3 gold, 1 silver, and 2 bronze, after competing in 4 straight summer games. Her 1988 heptathlon world record still stands.
To make an Olympic team is tough enough, but then sometimes you're not gonna come out on top. My first Olympic Games, I walked away with a silver medal, but I walked away knowing that I have the ability to do better. It's the mental toughness that I think that separate the good, the best, and the greatest. And so for me, I want to be the toughest athlete out there mentally.
Where did you get your mental toughness?
Probably growing up in my hometown of East St. Louis and learn survival skills. But then as you evolve and you grow up, then some of those survival skills that was just playing a tag game when you were 9, 10 years of age, you actually have to use those same skills to make it through life.
Her life was never easy, beginning with 2 of her biggest hurdles.
Losing my mom when I was a freshman in college, and she was really my best friend, my support. You know, it was really rough. The second biggest challenge is being an asthmatic and trying to be the best athlete in the world. You know, not knowing if I'm going to be able to breathe because I'm allergic to the grass. And some days I look like I shouldn't be out on the track.
What drove you?
I really wanted to be one of the best. And I remember when I competed in my first race at the age of 9, I finished last. I felt that if I came to practice every day, if I could improve 1/10 of a second if I was running or 1/2 of an inch if I was jumping, that meant that the work that I was doing was paying off.
But the gold medalists in particular, life is going to change for them. You walk through this. What's the biggest challenge on their re-entry back home?
You go back to the drawing board. You have to really reinvent yourself. You have to be willing to still work hard. You can't become complacent. Assess what went well for you, what went wrong, but stick with it.
And stick with it, she did. She intentionally carried this ongoing commitment into her retirement.
Never forget where I came from.
Jackie's track and field success brought international recognition and her choice of opportunity. It's not only what she chose to do, but where that adds to her growing legacy. She returned here to her hometown of East St. Louis, providing hope for youth in a community that has once again been named as America's most dangerous city.
You deal with violence, you deal with drugs, you deal with people that might be going in the wrong direction, but there is a lot of love in this community. Yes, there's some negativity, but no, the negativity would not overshine or outlive the good that people are trying to do in this community.
The Jackie JoynerKersee Center opened in 2000. The 41,000 square foot, 37-acre facility provides academic support and sports venues for youth and families.
What's most satisfying to you about working with youth?
It's the smiles that you see on their faces, the hugs that you get, the thank yous. And to me, I'm just Jackie from East St. Louis. When I'm in the community, I'm just in the community. But to them, it's like, wow, you accomplished this, you did that. But I think it was so important. If I'm going to inspire, I wanted young people to not just see me on television, but to know that I'm in that community. And that's one of the messages that I do convey to young people, is that there is no greater gift that you can give than servicing others. And if you can find it in your heart, to service with humility. That is the greatest gift.
Adjacent to the youth center is a Metrolink that bears her name, connecting Greater St. Louis and East St. Louis. The link puts the center as the hub for help and hope.
People from all walks of life to come see what we're doing over here is, to me, it's just truly a blessing. Yes, it's a way in as well as a way out. There was so much out there. That's what it is, it's a journey. And you're always just trying to, open the next door.
Who has Jesus Christ been to you?
With Jesus Christ, God, there's no way I could have accomplished all the things that I have been blessed to do. Because I know it just wasn't me. And still today, He leads my life.
Jackie JoynerKersee, Olympic great and community servant, setting the pace and raising the bar for the next generation.
What's your encouragement?
If you love Jesus Christ, don't be afraid to acknowledge it or to acknowledge Him. Don't be afraid to know that we all gonna go through things. Be uplifting, be encouraging, be motivating. Let that be your light.
What does finishing the race well look like to you?
I can't see the finish line. There's still more work need to be done, and I will finish strong. But only He will tell me my time.
CBN's humanitarian and disaster relief is helping children in Indonesia get a second chance at mobility. Many children in the Southeast Asian country suffer from disabilities caused by polio. To provide 15 children with wheelchairs, CBN partnered with a company called Personal Energy Transportation. Over the last 6 years, CBN's humanitarian and disaster relief has given more than 3,000 wheelchairs to the disabled across Indonesia. You can find out more about what CBN is doing around the world by going to cbn.com/international. That's it for now on CBN NewsWatch. You can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care about most at cbnnews.com. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day.